We are not surprised, as he said. Everybody has said that and agreed to. His Excellency the President has fulfilled his responsibilities to this country, to the youth of this country, both young men and young women. Now what is left is for us to reciprocate the young men and women of this country to ensure that we also fulfill our responsibilities. The vision of His Excellency the President is clear to all of us. We can talk about it here till dust. But if I may repeat, His Excellency stood and stands everywhere that he goes to say that he wants to turn this country into a city-state. Sure. And one way of doing that is to work on the infrastructure. That is the reason why the Vice President and cabinet members and ambassadors, all the people who travel from the Combos, the Banyos to come here, had the opportunity of traveling back the very day. Yeah. We have now good road network in this country. Yeah. And another point is that if you go down to the school grounds where the delegates are hosted, we are promised 24 hours electricity supply. And not only at that place. If you come to Janjanbureh, you have enough hours of electricity every day supplied in this place. And so it is across the length and breadth of this country. Now these are the ingredients that you put in place to get you to a city-state status. And sooner than later, we are going to get there. Another very clear vision of His Excellency the President is for us to feed ourselves. He said that over and over, that the Gambia, we need to feed ourselves. Because if you don't feed yourself, you are not independent. He said that everywhere. Now, the way in which he is able to bring this thing to us here is to encourage us as young people. That, yes, for him, his responsibilities he will fulfill, as I said. But for us to also fulfill our responsibilities, how we will get to know that 2 years from here, 4 years from here, much as His Excellency the President can do this, we have no doubt. He will always subsidize. But how do we also fulfill our responsibility? That when we go to a neck of 2 years from here, 4 years from here, we should be able to produce enough food independently on our own as young people of this country. That is his vision. If you cannot feed yourself, you are not an independent person. If you don't feed yourself, you are not an independent country. He said that, and that's the encouragement he keeps giving us to say, go back to the land. Farm and till the land. And who are the people who can do that? The young people of this country. So if we stand here and say, Mr. President, we are behind you, one way to demonstrate that clearly is to go back to the land. We have started in our little way. So let's resolve and resolve stronger that we will continue in a bigger way. That years down the road, we will farm and till this land more and more so that we can feed ourselves as a nation. That is one of his visions. Another critical aspects of his vision is peace and security. He does not compromise with that. For we are very aware of all the trouble around in the sub-region, on all other parts of the world. Most of the perpetrators, most of the victims are young and able men and women. It's a young, able men and women that they will use to perpetrate violence. It's young men and women, our mothers and our children, who turn to be the victims of those violence. His Excellency is saying that he will not compromise peace, security, and stability of this country for nothing. He will not compromise it for nothing. And you, the young people, have a stake in that, a very important stake in that. So if we say we follow the President, we are behind His Excellency the President, again, another way to demonstrate that is to ensure that we don't get carried away by any influence, by anybody, to destabilize the peace, the security, the stability that we enjoy in this country under His Excellency the President. So as we receive these very generous gifts from him. As we all said, it's not a surprise. As we all know that he will continue fulfilling his responsibility to us as young, as a country. I remind you of these words, of his vision. These are his visions for this country, that he has for this country. Let us feed ourselves as a country. It is the young who can do that. Let us keep the peace and stability in this country. It is the young who can do that. Let us be a good ambassador, good ambassadors of this country. It is us who can do that. We have the energy. It's us who travel around the world. When we travel around, let's talk about the good of this country. There is no perfection anywhere. Let's not deceive ourselves. There is no perfection in any country, in America, in United Kingdom, anywhere. There is no perfection. Because perfection, anytime you get that, you're going to your grave. That is the reality. So let's not pronounce our imperfections more than our perfections. Let's pronounce our perfections more than our shortcomings. That is what will take us forward as a country. So we will continue galvanizing the youth of this country behind His Excellency the President, to stay put behind him, to move with him together to the vision that he wants to take this country to, which is a city-state, independent, peaceful, secure, and vibrant. Yeah. I then have the pleasure and privilege to hand over these gifts to the chairman of the National Organizing Committee and the chairperson of the National Youth Council on behalf of the youths. I give it to him on behalf of His Excellency. He received them on behalf of the youths of this country. Now, as the Honorable Governor put it, the President wants all of you to eat to the brim. Nobody goes home hungry for the duration that you will stay here. The remaining will be handed over to Armitage. Another point, finally, is that the Ministry of Youth and Sports, just by the sites, Honorable Governor, we are on a change process. We all know this. And in this process, we are very sincere and committed. We are sincere, we are seeing the country. We are looking at all aspects under our purview, both youths and sports. Honorable Governor of West Coast mentioned about the Bantaba is one forum that His Excellency has put in place and blessed for us young people to talk to each other, to engage and know our problems, bring elders to give us advice. That is one example on the youth sector. On the sports sector, because you all come from the regions, let us graduate from the mindset of we come from the regions and they come from the greater Banjul areas. We are one country, for God's sake. We are one country, for God's sake. There shouldn't be anything like this is regional, this is greater Banjul area. Thanks. So a pleasure, in the name of God Almighty, with the blessing of the President, to hand over this magnificent gift to the youth of this country on his behalf. And thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. We wish to use this opportunity on behalf of the young people of this country, on behalf of the National Organizing Committee of NEC of 2012, on behalf of the Local Organizing Committee of NEC of 2012, on behalf of all regional delegates to NEC of 2012, including resource persons, and by extension on behalf of all the governors, the ministers, the area council chairpersons present here, our drivers, the media, the medical team, and every other person who had contributed to making this NEC of a success, that on their behalf, that we want to thank His Excellency the President for yet another show of magnanimity. He has given us enough. He's given us money, he's given us support, he's given us advice, and yet he's adding more. He's giving us to fill the belly. I'm sorry I have to say this again, that when I thanked the President, I said, Mr. President. I know somebody tell me you need to say the whole name. I just want to make it short, because I don't want to call that name, that whole name.